Hello, welcome to the Detour Live for the final time for this year's Tour de France. And we are on the back of one of the most unbelievable things we've ever seen in every edition of the race. We're joined, as always, by Johnny Trevorrow, Sam Bewley, and Matty Keenan. Start with you, Matty. Is that one of the best things you've ever seen at the Tour, that ride by Pogačar?
No. Not one of the best thing I've ever seen. That is the best individual performance I've ever seen. That was insane. And it was summed up by the look of disbelief from Tom Dumoulin as he was watching. Not only seeing the yellow jersey slip off the shoulder of his teammate, but Dumoulin was beaten by 1 minute and 21 seconds. And you look at the gap between second place on the stage and down to fifth. You had second and third, Richie and Dumoulin separated by less than a second. Handful of seconds, then back to fourth place, and then to fifth place, it was something like 20, 25 seconds. Everybody was pretty tight. But Pogačar was just in a league of his own. And when the virtual splits were coming up and he was making ground in the first 14 Ks before he hit that first intermediate check, I'm thinking, the technology they're using, let's hope that it's good, because that doesn't look right. And then he goes through the first checkpoint and you go, actually, the technology is spot on. It's working. That was right. It was phenomenal.
What do you think, Jules, sitting at home watching it on the box?
Oh, mate, I was just in disbelief. Like Keno says, I was watching the virtual ticker there, the timing, and I was like, that doesn't really seem right, And then they went through their first time check, and it was something like 13 or 14 seconds between, well, Pogačar was 13 or 14 seconds quicker than Roglic, and I was like, yeah, that's all right. That's all right. There's a long way to go. There's still a big climb to do at the finish there. Roglic knows what he's doing. Has Pogačar started too fast? I started running all these scenarios in my head. Then I was also thinking, you're playing with a minute here. A minute's a lot, but now that's 45 seconds. Now you're starting to panic a bit. So does Roglic start to ride a little bit differently? Does he start to push a bit too hard, too early? All these things were going through my mind. But at the end of the day, we sort of spoke about it a couple of days ago that for Roglic to lose the Tour on that stage, he was going to have a bad day, and Pogačar was going to have a really good day. Roglic didn't have a bad day. He was fifth or sixth on the stage, and he was 30 seconds behind Dumoulin, who was second on the stage, who's been a prior world time trial champion. He didn't have a bad ride, but Pogačar was just next level.
Yeah, and we're talking about off air, Iffy, that shot of the guys, Dumoulin watching the Tour slip away was just heart-wrenching.
It was, and that was the saddest thing just about I've ever seen. But one of the most beautiful pieces was, look, there we're looking at poor old Roglic sitting on the tarmac, absolutely devastated, that ugly helmet finally off. And you could see Dumoulin and Van Aert trying to console him. How would you do that? He got himself up, stepped up, walked straight through the into the middle of an interview that Pogačar was doing, and just grabbed him and congratulated him. I thought that was a special moment in sport.
Well, we've got the vision from UAE post on Twitter. It was inside the team car. It was fantastic. So let's have a look at that.
Okay, really good, Tadej. 600 meters to the bike change.
Vamos.
Vai, Tadej! 3 up. Get out of the way! Good job, buddy. This is for the Tour de France. Yellow jersey, polka dot jersey, white jersey. Come on, mate, it's all for you. Best time.
Yeah, unbelievable scenes. We've got an interview coming up later with Allan Peiper, and you have to tune in for this interview. It is phenomenal. His story alone, Keenan, is pretty inspiring.
Oh, he's got a wonderful story. I hosted a show on SEN long ago as I was just starting out in commentating. The first person I really wanted to interview about his life in the sport was Allan Peiper, just as he was returning to be a sports director with the then the Predictor Lotto team. And there was a really nice message that was from Mark Sargent, who's now still with the Lotto team, looking after Caleb Ewan. And he was congratulating online Allan Peiper. And Allan wrote back and he just said, thanks for believing in me. Because it was Mark Sargent who gave him that chance to return to the sport. And he played an important role with Cadell as well at BMC. He played a really important role with Mark Cavendish at HTC. Allan Peiper is one of the most undervalued or under-recognised resources within Australian cycling, and under-recognised in terms of his achievements as well. He's just a wonderful guy to be around. John knows him really well. He's a guy that I looked up to when I was a kid, because you had Phil Anderson, he was winning lots of stuff, and you know where you're at as a junior pretty quickly when you're finishing last in all the races that you ride. So Allan Peiper was my hero because he was the workhorse, and he was the one that wrote fantastic articles in the magazines, and you could always learn from him. And you're still learning from him. And the way he conducted himself, he did an interview recently when he was asked about his role as a sports director, and he played himself down, as Allan always does, and he said that Tadej is making us look good. Allan makes everybody around him look really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And if you were talking about how well he used to write in those days, like he'd take you in the race.
Oh, he's one of the great cyclist writers, you know. He was writing, as Maddie, you were just alluding to, back when he was racing with Panasonic and things. And when I ever read anything of Allan's, the hairs would be standing up the back of my neck. He put you in the race. He was just had a real gift.
Every time he spoke as a writer, every time he did an interview, every time he spoke, or every time he wrote an article, you learnt something. Yeah. It was amazing listening to him when he was racing, and you're still learning something every time he talks now. He's one of those guys that when you're around him, you ask questions and you speak as little as you possibly can and keep your ears completely open.
Obviously, another big talking point, Matty, for the coverage was Richie Port to get that podium spot. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was always pretty confident that he was going to get Lopez, but I didn't think Lopez would have such a bad day. And I was... You know, the Lander result was about where I expected him. And this is what Richie deserves. When you look back at all the bad luck that he's had, and again, he had some challenges within this tour. Stage 7, he lost a minute 21. He had the puncture on stage 18 that he recovered from, but that could have been a disaster as well. Richie deserves this podium. And this will be a defining moment in his career. Australians first went to the Tour de France in 1914. So we've been going to the Tour for 106 years. Until tonight, one Aussie has stood on the podium inside the top 3. Cadell. He's been there twice second and he's won the race. Sure, Richie hasn't won it, but that gives you a bit of perspective on how hard it is to get onto the podium. Richie is only the second guy to reach the podium. This is a historic moment in Australian cycling.
He's well liked, isn't he, Bills, Richie, in the peloton?
Yeah, he's a cracker, Richie. He's always up for a yarn. I was actually talking to him on... I might have actually been stage 10 the day that I crashed out, but we were having a chat at the back of the bunch early on in the stage, and he was telling me that his wife was basically about to give birth, that day or the day after. So he did a post-race interview after yesterday's stage as well that I watched, and I found quite emotional because he alluded to the fact that the sacrifices that him and his family, his wife particularly, made for him to stay there, to have that opportunity to finish on the podium. I mean, he missed the birth of his second child, and that wasn't something that he wanted to do, of course. But this was an opportunity for him to finish on the podium at the Tour de France, somewhere where he's deserved to be. When he was with Team Sky, he was one of the best bike riders in the race. He was obviously working for Froome. Then he left the team for his own opportunities, and he's had nothing but bad luck. And then this year, the things just went the way they should for Richie. And, he's a cracker. He's a laugh. He's always good to talk to. He's friendly. He's a real Aussie bloke. So I think Australia should be extremely proud that they have an Australian on the podium and someone who represents their country so well.
I sent him a text just before trying to get him to come onto the show, and he was a bit tied up. But he said to say, "G'day, Wagon." What's your nickname, Wagon or something, Bills, is it?
Yeah, it's a nickname I got years and years and years ago in the track team, actually. And not many people call me Wagon over here. All my mates back in New Zealand that were in the Team Pursuit squad with me call me Wagon. But somehow Richie's got on board with it. And I always hear him every stage of the tour, or every stage or every race I do. I always hear "Hey, wagon" from somewhere in the peloton.
No, what's the wagon come from? Where's it come from, mate?
It comes from my dad's Toyota Hilux. It's just clicked over 500,000 kilometres last summer when I was home, and we used to travel around the country in this, and it was called the Bewley wagon. So everyone started calling me the Bewley wagon, and then it shortened down to wagon.
Fantastic. Jules,
you're
on
right.
Richie, do you think he's benefited from the coronavirus and the lack of media that are at the race? Because Richie's somebody that doesn't like the media attention, and it's allowed him just to go about his business more quietly.
Yeah, and I think what it's done is it's just taken the pressure off his shoulders. He's always been, especially when he left Sky and he went to Trek to take his own opportunities at the Tour de France. There was always a lot of pressure on him. People were always saying Richie has left so that he can try to win the Tour de France. There was always a spotlight on him. Like you say, the media were, that media bubble, that media scrum was always around him. It's given him the opportunity to have no pressure on him. People they can't breathe down his throat or throw questions down his throat. He's just been able to sit on the bus, have his coffee, just go about his business and just quietly make his way through the tour. And, really until the last week, he was doing things very quietly. And people, he was always there or thereabouts, but not until the last couple of days, people started to think, oh, hang on, Richie Port's a podium chance here. And he just had he's a world-class time trial rider. He's won time trials in his time. So I think it made a big difference to have for him to go about it in his natural way.
Yeah, I think it made a big difference, that lack of focus on him.
Well, just on that grab you're talking about, I actually got it, Bills. So I can play a snippet of that for you guys now.
You've told us throughout the tour that you haven't felt any stress or pressure, but you're under a lot of pressure today to pull that out, and you pulled it out. How satisfying is that?
It's hugely satisfying. We came here without any real pressure. In the lockdown, I didn't think this race was going to happen, and then me being me with the timing to miss the birth of my second child, my wife said to me, come to the race and do your best, and if she sees me at the back of the peloton being, sulking, she'll be upset with me. So to come here, be third, it's a massive sacrifice, maybe the biggest one, to miss the birth of a child, but this is sweet. This is a photo I'll have on the wall when I retire, on the podium in the Tour, and I'm just over the moon. It feels like a victory to me to be third.
You'll be on the podium, which is really probably where you belong, but it's taken a long time to get there, hasn't it? Look,
it's been so many years of, disappointments, crashes, and whatever, dramas, but we had our dramas here. We had in Lyon there with Kenny's bike, and then the other day with the puncher. So to come away with the podium, the team's been fantastic. It's no secret that I'll be leaving Trek Segafredo, but the way they've gotten around me this year and supported me, you had the world champion as my bodyguard, and all the boys have played their part. So it's just incredible.
Just a word on Pogacar, taking Roglic to the cleaners, really. Did you see that coming?
No, not at all. And those are two, great guys. And Pogacar's a huge champion. I think, it's going to be interesting with Bernal next year. They're the future of the sport, they really are. So I think it's going to be a fantastic tussle next year. And, I think Roglic deserved to win the Tour, but Pogacar, the ride he did today was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. You can see the emotion there, Keno.
Yeah. Nailed it.
It was a great interview. Fantastic. It is a win. To get on the podium and finish in third position is enormous. There's a lot to come out of that I'd actually like to touch on. The first one is about Roglic deserved to win the Tour. And we started by talking about the images of Van Aert and Dumoulin watching Pogacar as he was coming to the line. Bills, were you riding the Giro with Simon Yates in 2018? Were you part of that team?
Yep, I was there. Yeah.
So what was that like? He lost the. What was that like, and what was the atmosphere like around him? It wasn't quite as dramatic as what we saw yesterday, but it was still pretty dramatic. And how did you go about trying to support him in that moment where there's really nothing you can say?
Look, there isn't anything you can say, and I mean, I don't know Roglic. Obviously, I certainly don't know him like I know Simon. And for us in 2018, the big hurdle was the time trial on stage 16 of the Giro. You know, Dumoulin was breathing down the neck of Simon on the GC, and we thought if Simon can get through this TT without losing much time to Dumoulin, then we've got a real shot. And he did. And at that point, we started to believe, shit, we're going to win this Giro. You know. In the end, yeah, it was. We lost it. We held the jersey for 2 weeks, very similar to what happened with Jumbo Visma here. They led the race for so long, came down to the last day. Simon lost it with 2 days to go. And Keno, there's nothing you can say, you know. And everybody in the team is absolutely gutted. What happened in that situation with us was Simon was apologising to us. He was like, "Oh, guys, I'm so sorry for all the work you've done." Mate, I looked him in the eye and I said, what the hell are you saying sorry for? You have exposed people like myself, and you have exposed Chris Jensen. You've exposed all these guys in your team to show the world that what we do in our job, we do it well. You expose us. You've given us an opportunity we would never have had before. You've done this organisation proud. You should be proud of everything that you've done. Look, it hasn't happened, but come back next year and let's have another crack. And but yeah, you can't really say anything. You actually just have to crack a cold beer and just sort of feel flat together, I suppose.
Yeah, and we saw those images of Dumoulin trying to console Roglic yesterday. And Dumoulin is probably the best one in the team to be able to do that, because he's been second at the Tour, he's been second at the Giro, and he has won a Grand Tour, he has won the Giro. But there's still nothing you can say. And those images of Roglic immediately after he crossed the line and he sat on the road, it was the modern-day Laurent Fignon back in '89. And when he goes and he sees it's a compatriot, a guy from the same country with 2 million people, and he's 8 years younger than him, that is going to be really hard for him to swallow. And Laurent Fignon, sadly, up to his death, he never recovered from that second-place finish in that Tour, despite the fact that he won the Tour twice. And John McEnroe talks about all the tennis matches that he won. He can't remember those in detail, but he can remember the Grand Slam finals that he lost. I think there's a really hard road ahead psychologically for Primož Roglic.
And also, Bills, remember when Esteban ran second in the Giro, the other issue is, I remember the team got a car sticker up in pink, and that was a bit of a write-off. I think they had all yellow bikes ready to go for the Visma team. It's got to be tough.
Look, mate, the reality is this is going to sting for a long time. And you actually just have to ride it out. You have to ride it out. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do. It's just going to sting. And I spoke to George Bennett last night briefly. I just sent him a message, a really short message, just saying, "Hey, look, mate, I'm hurting for you guys." And obviously he was feeling pretty devastated. And I sent him another message this morning, and I just said to him, "Look, mate, I know that you guys are probably feeling absolutely flat today, but be proud of what you've done." And this was more of a personal message to George, saying, "Be proud of what you've done, mate. You've raced through this Tour de France with busted ribs. You've crashed. You've been crook, but you've been there for the boys. You guys, you know, there's plenty of really cool things that you guys can take away from this Tour de France. You've got stage wins, the experience of riding in the yellow jersey for so long. So be proud of what you've done and do your best to try to enjoy the ride into Paris today." I mean, I know it's not going to be easy for any of those guys, but I really hope that they can find some solace in some way. And I hope that Van Aert wins the stage today. Finish it with some silver lining.
I'd love him to win the stage, and he can. I prefer Caleb. Obviously, I'm a bit biased towards Caleb, but given what they've been through, and they have been the team of the race, the way they control it from day one, particularly with Tony Martin, I don't think anybody would begrudge Wout van Aert winning that stage, except for a family in Bowral, New South Wales, and a whole team around Lotto Soudal in Belgium, and maybe Robbie McEwen.
You know what I love about Bewley? He's a good teammate. He's a good bloke. He always knows the right things to say. And I remember even talking about the final days when Esteban made the podium and Bewley wanted to get amongst the Colombian fans. I've got just a short little clip I want to show of that moment.
Right, guys, we're waiting for Esteban and Maggie to get back from the podium, and we're having a couple of quiet beers. Still a whole bunch of Colombians out there, so we're going to go and G them up with a bit of Shakira.
No fighting. We got the refugees. No fighting. No fighting.
Yeah! Shakira!
Oh, baby, when you talk,
Safe to say it was a flop.
Oh, that's sensational.
I never get
Take
sick
much
of
to
watching
out the
that.
Colombian fans, doesn't it?
Oh, it was so flat.
Yeah,
I just remember.
that's what happens when you race a 3-week Grand Tour and you have half a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brilliant, mate. That was a highlight. That's going to get a run. Next race I commentate on that you're in, that's getting a mention in commentary.
I'm going to retire then. I'm retiring.
But before we get
in the wagon.
Yeah, that's right. Before we let you go, Matty, just on the COVID experience, commentating from back here, you guys collectively must be pretty proud of the product that you've put out this year, and given it's such an amazing race too.
Yeah, we have been. And having Robbie in Sydney, Bridie in Melbourne for the first time commentating with 3 people, that's been a challenge in itself logistically. And to be honest, I've really loved it. I've known where my accommodation is every night, so I haven't been lost. I've been able to find somewhere to eat every night. It's in the home kitchen. And I've been able to see my kids each day. I've actually really enjoyed the experience. Sure, it'll be great to go back there next year. But, you know, I wouldn't swap this for having been there on the ground. This is a one-off, so I'll stick this in the pocket. I'm pretty happy with how the year's gone. But I'm already looking forward to next year. Bernal returns. Pogacar's back as the defending champion. Maybe Remco Evenepoel makes a start. We've then got across elsewhere, we see what they do at Jumbo-Visma with Primoz as he come back for redemption, and Peter Sagan back for revenge in the race for the green jersey. How many days have we got to go to the start of next year's tour?
And you got Froome.
And
Froome.
Froome with Israel. Geraint Thomas. But you know what? We're all sort of riding off Richie in saying that this was his last chance for a real shot at the GC, because next year he will, he's going to Israel. Evidently,
he's going to Ineos.
It is Ineos, is it? Yeah. I heard it was Israel.
Some A+ research on the Detour Live, guys.
I don't think it's been has it been officially announced anywhere yet?
No.
Yeah, there's plenty of rumours, but I'll side with Keno on that one.
Okay. Because I was hoping it was Israel, because if he went to Israel and Froome didn't come up, then Richie would be back as the number one man. But
the band back together, Roomy and Froome.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining the show, Ken. It's been fantastic. You've really polished this product up, mate, for sure. And you've done
really
a fantastic job.
Thanks, guys.
Fantastic
Good luck with the recovery, Sam.
Cheers. Thanks, Keno.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks, Matt.
Matty Keenan, what an absolute superstar of the sport. Now, as we said, we've got a massive show coming up. We've got interviews with Allan Peiper, and we've got Matt White as well. But yeah, but they've done an amazing job if you're considering all these logistics that they've had to deal with COVID, and the commentary has been A+, particularly this year.
I agree. It's been absolutely fantastic.
It is. Doing a massive yawn. Now,
it's been a long 3 weeks, mate. It's been a long 3 weeks. Okay.
Now, I don't know what's going on with the software tonight, but I can't get any of the viewer comments. They're not popping up. So there's a problem. There's a little glitch. So we've got to the very end and we can't get the comments up. So apologies about that.
I'll go to Facebook and find them if you want. We can just read them out.
You do that. Let's play the interview with Matt White we did earlier today. Matt White, last time we're going to speak to you for a while on the Detour Live. It's been a bloody good Tour de France, and that stage, mate, people are going to be talking about that time trial for years to come.
Yeah, look, it was. Johnny picked it. It was the ride of the last, mate, it was incredible ride. I'm still trying to get my head around the ride that young fella did to take the Tour de France on the penultimate day. I feel sorry for Jumbo, because they've certainly controlled the race from start to finish, and to lose it in that manner, they'd be pretty disappointed. But it was a nail-biting way to end the battle for GC yesterday afternoon.
You probably wouldn't have noticed the coverage that we were watching, which was fantastic, and all the time splits were really accurate, and we were getting great sort of rundowns. But in the last 3 or 4K, I had a cutout in the top of the screen, and it had Dumoulin and Van Aert watching, and you could just see the tour unraveling in front of their eyes, and we were watching them watch it. You know what I mean? It was just heartbreaking. Yeah.
Look, I've been there myself back in 2000 with the Giro d'Italia when we led the Giro with Casagrande for 14 days and lost it on the penultimate day time trial as well. So I know what those guys, how gutted they are, because when you put everything into protecting a leader and working for a leader over such a long period of time, and to lose it in a time trial where it's got nothing to do with you, those guys definitely would be gutted.
Well, it's funny, like when AFL players lose grand finals and they even go on to win a grand final the next year, they still have traumatic, like brain trauma from that experience of getting so close. Even with that experience in the Giro, I mean, guys would never get over something like that, yeah?
Yeah, I think everyone reacts different to different circumstances, but it's they'll be back next year. But you never know. It's a sport. There's only sometimes a window. Your window for success is a long period of time. Sometimes a short period of time. You never know what happens in next year's tour. So it'll always be there. That's for sure. It'll always be there. But look, they've ridden brilliantly this tour, Jumbo, and I'm sure they'll come back with another plan next year, and obviously everyone has to adapt to whatever the course is next year as well. I think it's been quite a different course this year, and then Pogacar's come out on top.
I think it's going to be hard. Look, you said the exact spot on there, mate. There's a window. This was Primoz Roglic's window, and I don't know that it's going to open up again for him, because I just can't see Pogacar not being even better next year. And I reckon UAE will be building an amazing team around him for next year.
Yeah, look, they probably need to go by a few climbers, that's for sure. They'll be under a different pressure next year as well, because this year they basically rode off the back of Jumbo's dominance. But he'll be going wherever he goes in the future. He'll be earmarked as a big favourite, not just a young kid with a lot of potential. And they will have to bolster their roster, especially in the climbing ranks, because it's a different pressure. We're coming in as a favourite and coming in as a young new up and comer off the back of others. So be interesting rider market over the next month or two. But it's what a tour for Slovenia, first and second. The story of those two. They've got a young 21-year-old and his first Tour de France winner, and then Primoz's story. He was a world level ski jumper about 10 years ago. I think he'd ridden a bike 10 years ago, and here he was so close to winning the Tour de France. He's already won the Vuelta and come close in the Giro as well. So incredible story. And I suppose for us, the Richie on the podium. What a day for Australian cycling as well.
That was an unbelievable ride. How is it for the final day into Paris? I heard that there's a bit of an outbreak with the whole COVID situation.
All I know is France yesterday had 17,000 cases yesterday, and Paris, they're just really limiting the crowd today. So the police had it blocked off from 6 a.m. this morning. I think there's 5,000 people allowed on the whole circuit. So I don't know how many people they normally get, but it's a big crowd normally, and it's going to be it'll feel different this year for sure with such a small crowd.
That was part one of the chat with Matt White. He's part two.
Did you guys fly up last night or TGV or was
Mate,
it
no flights at all this tour. So after
the
first rest day, we had a massive transfer, 5 hours in the bus after the stage.
That's right.
And last night we had 3 and a bit hours, and we've got 3 hours this morning. So we're off in 20 minutes, and big transfer up to Paris because they didn't want to keep everyone in the plane together. So everyone stays in their bubble right till the end, and that's the bus and cars that you've been travelling in.
Obviously, Luca second on the stage a couple of days ago. How's he feeling for the last day hit out, mate?
Good. He's up and about. He's definitely up and about. And I think for us, it's probably the first time since Gossi in 2012, we've had a guy with a legitimate chance of a big result on the Champs-Élysées. So, all the boys have been for him, working flat out for him in the final today. We'll sit back, and it's all about position. You need a bit of luck, but also you need some good position going into that last couple of corners. And Daryl and the boys will be positioning him as good as they can.
You know what I should do, Iffy? I should put money on Mezjek, and then I'll cash out with a lap to go, and then he's got a really good chance of saluting. For sure. What do you reckon?
Yeah, he did it again yesterday, White. He backed Pogacar and then cashed out. He's done it twice now.
No, I cashed out because you sold Richie so well, and we had Allan Peiper on, and he was talking about how meticulous they were with their planning. I mean, looking at the stage back again with the time trial, it did really come down to how much recon you did, where the bike dropped. All these things come into the prep, don't they, Whitey, for a stage like that?
Yeah, definitely. And with Adam came up before the Tour de France, and he actually lived for 2 years in that area, so he knew the climb very, very well. But I think all the leaders would have had a good look at that course. We didn't go look at it in the morning because Adam came up before the Dauphiné and checked the course out. But yeah, practice certainly helps. I didn't see much of the vision, but I heard some of the bike changes weren't as fluid as others. But at the end, he was just too strong, and it wouldn't matter by the looks of it, whatever bike he rode or whatever bike change he had. He was just by far the strongest on the day.
At the end of the tour, everyone loves to go back and reflect and think about what the thoughts were from day one to now. What are some of the standouts you think team rides and riders themselves that have really jumped off from this 2020 edition for you?
Yeah, I think besides our Tour de France winner, Pogacar, I think Hershey's probably been a big revelation of this race. We knew he's obviously class act, winning an under-23 world title 2 years ago. But sometimes there's a big jump from that under-23 level to the world tour level, and especially winning at the tour. And he seems like he's made some very big progressions in 12 months. He's been the standout. He raced in a very similar style to Alaphilippe was racing last year. I think three times he tried to get up the road, 3 breaks, and he was up for the win 3 times, winning 2. So he's been a revelation. I think Jumbo's the way they strangled the race was very impressive. Obviously, on the other side of the fence, it did limit a lot of opportunities for breaks this year. Not too many breaks went to the line. They were very, very controlling of everything, even up until 24 hours ago. Whereas they could have let a lot of breaks go to the line and not worried. And in the end, 2 of the times they controlled the race, Pogacar won the stage and picked up valuable time bonuses. So maybe they'll learn from that, and maybe next year, if they come back with a similar style of team, they'll be a little bit more relaxed and let the breaks go down the road, and which then takes bonuses out of the equation. And the other one, interestingly, with Roglic, I knew he was good here, but he never really went on the attack. They're quite conservative the way that he rode, and it would have been interesting when he was a bit fresher in the race if he'd actually gone after and put other people under pressure. It looked like he was just always as content to follow. A very impressive performance from him. And I suppose in our team, obviously Luca's been his first Tour de France. We came in with a different role for him, and that's riding for him. He's been a support rider, a great support rider for many years in this team. And for him to get those opportunities in his first tour and take them is very, very pleasing. And he's going to leave here with a hell of a lot of confidence moving forward for the rest of the season and next year.
Some good insights there again from Whitey. What do you think about the stuff with Roglic and the fact that he wasn't attacking as much as you've seen the leaders of the race do? Iffy?
Well, I disagree slightly. I thought they rode a very, very intelligent race. He set it up the day up the Col de la Loze. That was the day he decided to go into attacking mode, and he took 15 seconds out of Pogacar. Turned out not to be near enough. But no, I don't reckon they could have really played it much different. I thought they felt in control. I think that, they had their party all planned for tonight in Paris, I'm sure. So they will be devastated. I don't think they'll look back and say, "Oh, look, if we had done this or that," seriously, if Pogacar didn't lose that time in the side wins, a minute 20 something, whatever he lost, when it split, he probably would have even been more comfortable. But they wouldn't have wanted to get the lead any earlier. It's worked out perfect for them. They didn't have the team. They had too many out. And even if they didn't have anyone out, they didn't have a team to defend that yellow jersey. So this is just, as Allan Peiper said yesterday, put the slippers on and ride into Paris.
So on the putting the slippers on and riding into Paris, I have managed to get the questions up, I think, on Facebook. And this is a question for you, Iffy, based on what you just said there. Comes from Caroline Harbeck. She said, question for John. Who, when, and why have they started the gentleman's agreement to not attack the leader of the Tour de France on the last stage into Paris? And what would happen if someone did?
It's a great question.
It's a good question, but it really it comes from something that a misunderstanding of how the sport works. It's not about that. It's about you've had 3 weeks to win this tour. If you're still 20 seconds or 30 seconds down, or a minute or whatever, there is no chance to get that back. The sprinters teams are all going to chase you down anyway. It's just be wasted. Everyone would be dark on you for spoiling the day because. There's not now. If it was just a couple of seconds, and there were maybe they would try something to get away for us to get the bonuses from a sprint or something like that. But it's not a matter of it's an agreement. We're not going to attack each other. It just would be futile. That's the whole thing, futile. So they ride along early, have a champagne, have a bit of a laugh, and then it gets serious. And once they get towards the Champs-Élysées. That is as fast a racing as you see anywhere. Everyone wants that stage. So it is on, as you would say, Dan, like Donkey Kong. It's on. But in the early part, it's just, they've had 3 weeks. The tour has been decided. It's over. There's no chance to get that. There's no way Jumbo can get rid of Pogacar tomorrow and gain 59 seconds. It can't be done. So why bother?
Yeah, and it's a horror scenario. Like if he binned it or whatever, and they got a gap, no one wants to see that. Bewley, internet issues. Yeah, he's been playing with the wires. All right, we'll go to part 3 while Bewley gets his internet sorted. And what are some of the key things you're going to take into next year's edition for the tour from what you've learned from this one?
Well, first we'll have to sit down at the end of the year and see what the course is like, mate. And then what we do, the same sort of process is, we'll see what the courses are like, see what our calendar is going to look like next year, and then our team is going to look a little bit different there with the addition of Michael Matthews. So there'll be some stages that which are similar to the ones that Luca was successful on. So I think that's going to be an exciting combination, Luca and Bling next year. And then work out what we're going to do with the Giro and all our other riders. But the group I've had here, it's a similar group to what I've had over the last couple of years, and I'm really happy with how they gelled and they committed 100%. And look, it hasn't been a normal Tour de France or normal preparation period for any team, and I think our guys can certainly hold their head high. Oh,
definitely. Anything you want to add, Iffy?
Yeah, no, the old Aussie vernacular. It's been great to have you on nearly every day. I think we gave you one rest day for the whole 3 weeks, so it's been great, Whitey. You've been a stand-up as always, and I'm guessing you'll be. You going to the Worlds or just straight to the Giro?
No, I go home tomorrow for 9 days, and then off to Palermo for the start of the Giro next Wednesday. So it's a pretty short turnaround. Usually it's a month between, and the other way around, Giro into the Tour. But no, I'll be watching the Worlds on television next weekend like you guys, and then pack my bags and off to southern Italy to get the team rolling down there, and our goal of winning the Giro with Simon Yates.
Yeah,
good luck,
you're definitely in for a big chance, mate. So yeah, thanks again for joining us on the Detour, mate, and enjoy the final day and all the best for the Giro.
Yep, pleasure. See you guys. Thanks for
having me.
Maddie.
See you, mate. Bye.
Breaking news, Sam Bewley has had a power cut to his building, but he's on the phone. How are you, Sam?
I just had a power cut.
It literally wiped out your internet, everything.
Yeah, this has just gone off. Lights are off.
Oh, so the Facebook, you saved us with the Facebook, and you've lost them again.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We might be back on in a second.
All right. Well, if you do want to go through the sponsors now while we work out this power cut in Girona.
Okay, mate. Okay. Well, for the last time, we'd like to thank our great partners in this Detour Life. And of course, Lexus of Blackburn, wonderful friends of the cyclists. They're great sponsors of cycling. They're sponsor of the Lexus of Blackburn Bay Quits and the Lexus of Blackburn Women's Herald Sun Tour, and they've been also car sponsor for the Cadell Evans Great Ocean Road Race and the Australian Championship. So wonderful partners. Go and visit the Moore family, Andrew Moore, down at Lexus of Blackburn.
Great stuff.
Mitchelton, of course. Mitchelton. Now we've got an announcement today. We've got a winner of the Mitchelton box of Mitchelton Shiraz, but that is the absolutely magnificent Mitchelton Hotel as a part of the beautiful Mitchelton Winery on the glorious Goulburn River, just on the outskirts of Nagambie. And I'll be up there in a couple of weeks myself. I've booked in for a long weekend for my darling wife's birthday, and looking forward to having a spa and a massage and the works. And it's a wonderful pool you see there on the left there. Yep. And Let's Go Motorhomes, our great friends at Let's Go. We're about to have things changing. Hopefully, the numbers are down to 14 in Melbourne today, in Victoria today. So that means it'll only be a couple of weeks till we open up, and Let's Go Motorhome. So jump on board now. Book it, early bird special, 90 days in advance, and you get 5% discount. And get out and have a look at our wonderful state in a Let's Go Jayco Motorhome.
Geez, you are actually good at the sponsor stuff. You're back, Bills.
I think I'm back, yeah. The power's back on, so let's hope for the best. Anyone would think I was in France.
Yeah, that's right. Here's a quick message from our mates at Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Oh, she's got me with that accent. I'll tell you what, that is just a great commercial, a great ad.
Do you reckon she's Dutch? It sounds a bit Dutch, the accent.
I know.
It's good though. Works.
Yeah,
it's going to move. It's going to move a lot of product. All right, now's the time. We did an interview with Allan Peiper earlier, and it was unbelievable. Some of the insights were just raw. And as you said, he's such a good storyteller. So he's part one of our chat earlier today with UAE Emirates Sports Director Allan Peiper. Allan Peiper, what can we say, mate? That was absolutely epic. Congratulations. You must feel incredible.
Yeah, it was an incredible day. It was a roller coaster of emotions. That's really for sure, because when the unexpected happens and all the stress of the race and worried about, everything possibly going wrong that you can't control. But no, amazing day.
Yeah, look, I was just talking to Stewie O'Grady just a few minutes ago, and he said that's the most amazing day he's ever seen, and he's seen quite a few amazing days. So it's going to be talked about in the years to go, like the Fignon and Le Mans battle. It's never going to be forgotten, mate.
Yeah, well, John, it's a little bit different when you're inside the bubble of the race, and we're in the COVID bubble, but it's even more so this year. But when you're inside, you don't really have a perspective of how huge things are, and you don't have those same. We have different impressions, and not that I don't know it's huge. It's not that, but it's a different impression. Yeah.
I rang Neil afterwards and just said, mate, unbelievable. He goes, you ripper. He goes, nah, bloody hats off to Piper and the boys. They were meticulous with that planning for the time trial. Obviously, that had an effect because you guys just ran such a slick operation.
Yeah, we did practice for a lot. I went down there in June as soon as the borders opened, like I think the day after or 2 days after the border opened, after the COVID lockdown. And I was down there for 2 days and did the course 3 times myself, once on the bike and twice drove it. And sort of had an idea of the gears I wanted to put on the bikes. And, because a whole differential of gears for TT bike than with the road bike on the climb. So when we got down there in July for the recon with Tadej, we had about 10 people there, and so we spent another 2 days there, and he could ride the course. He rode the course 3 times, and then the third time we did full simulation, TT suit, TT helmet, full gas 30 Ks. Full gas up the climb, full bike change. We practiced the bike change about 10 times. So he got to the climb, I think Bardet had the record, and Tadej was like 10 seconds off the climb record with the bike change included. So we knew, he was on the money. 20 days in, you don't know what's going to happen. But, I think he got confidence out of that full gas dry run, And I think I heard yesterday after the finish, he said he knew every pothole in the road, and I think that makes a huge difference as well.
Yes, and I love your bike change was so slick, the quickest that we saw from anybody. Whereas Roglic was actually probably the worst, and they seemed to pick a really bad place to roll into the hill to swap it. But anyway, no need to go down there. But look, I did love the actual. When Roglic finally, he sat down the ground, he was being consoled by his teammates. He was absolutely devastated. But the minute he got his he got straight up, and even though your man was getting interviewed at the time, he just walked up to Pogačar and just grabbed him and congratulated him. It was a beautiful moment in sport.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I saw the images, and I know they get along really well. They're from the same country, and they know each other well. They obviously they speak the same language, and I thought it was just a nice gesture as well. As crushed as as excited as Tadej was, as crushed Roglic must have been, and I think we all felt heartfelt for them as well, because Jumbo Visma, they rode like we say in Australia, 10 men. There were only 7 of them, 8 of them, but they did an amazing job, and it seemed like Roglic was impenetrable. But like I said, the other day, the fact that on Thursday they did so much for that to keep Tadej away from that 4-second bonus for third place at the finish had me already thinking that they were worried somehow,
I could listen to Allan Peiper talk for days. Like, he needs to add his voice to that calm app. Here's part 2 of our chat.
You probably wouldn't have noticed, but in the television, well, you wouldn't have seen this on the television coverage we were watching, and they did it so well, with all the updates at all times. You really knew what was happening all the time, which was brilliant. But they had a little cutout of Dumoulin and Van Aert as the last 3 or 4K, when it was coming down and you could see the Tour slipping away from them. It had them up on the screen, and you could just see it was gut-wrenching to watch it. It was just terrible, actually. Poor buggers.
Yeah.
So take us through the moment. Oh, sorry. You're on, mate.
Go, Dan.
I was just going to say, can you take us through the moment when your brain is going, "Holy shit, we can win this"? Was it after the finish when it really sunk in?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, yesterday morning, like I said, I was super nervous about everything going wrong, and I did follow Christoph, who was one of the first riders off. Yesterday lunchtime, my first rider off, and I followed him. We did a dry run. I had Matt in my driver and had the mechanic in the back, and we did the bike change like we were going to do the bike change with Tadej. And I talked to Alex like I was going to talk to Tadej in the radio, even though he was going 10 kilometers an hour slower. and I settled down after that. So because I sort of felt like we had control over the situation, and the bike change had me most worried, but when you get into the race, the first split, he was 1 second behind Dumoulin, and I didn't think he rode that fast until then. So I was questioning whether he was going fast at all. But then Roglic was 13 seconds behind, and I told him, but I said, look, stick to the plan, keep your tempo, don't change anything, because I didn't want to get him getting excited and digging deeper when it was too early to dig deep, because maybe Roglic had a different plan. So, even going further to the second split and on the climb, and you hear the times coming back, and you can see the difference there. Okay, it starts to sink in, but even when we got to the team parking and Tadej crossed the line and Roglic was still a kilometre to go, and we knew we had it in the bag, you sort of can't let go until it's official, until it crosses the line. And so it was an amazing feeling.
But where was the actual spot where you maybe not actually said but where you thought, yeah, we've got this, watching it from us, it was about 4K to go when the times almost became level. The deficit had all gone, and you could see Roglic was not going as well. So for me, 4 or 5K to go, I thought that was it.
I think from the bike change, you knew it was more or less in the bag, unless Roglic pulled out a huge climb. But Tadej was going so good on the climb, he made it look flat. So but like I said, you can't get ahead of yourself, and even today it's not over till the lady sings.
And what was Tadej saying when you spoke to him after the race?
Not. He didn't say too much. He just said, thanks for everything. He's a kid, Dan. Like, I don't know if I said this the other day, but takes everything on board that I say, which is amazing and so gratifying. Whether it be tire pressure or gears, and not only yesterday but other days. And like I said to him, Cadell was always in the top 30. You got to be in the top 30 so you don't take any time splits, and followed that through every day. He was on the money. He's just a great kid, and there aren't a lot of words, but we did have a hug and a cry. So
that's beautiful. Now, you've had some amazing moments in sport. You're a superstar rider yourself. You're right at that top end. You just missed a medal at the Worlds. I remember that must have been frustrating for you. But putting this in perspective of all the wonderful highs you've had with Cadell, of course, this must rate close to number one.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday was the culmination of my life. Not just my cycling life, but my life.
This is the part when Al really starts to open up and we get some amazing insights.
Your life has a purpose, and I think mine was sort of planned out from the time I was a kid. First time I put my leg over a bike, I wanted a bike from when I was a little kid, and every Christmas time came around and there was always something else I got, a camera or something else, and I just wanted a bike. And from the moment I got a bike, I was like free, and I didn't start racing till a couple of years later, but those first races, sort of your life has a destiny. How the hell did I arrive in Belgium when I was 17 years old in 2 weeks? I mean, how did I carve out a career out of that? It's like, how does that stuff happen? It's like there seems to be a destiny in all of it. But seems like destiny came around yesterday. Just the stars aligned.
Yeah, and people wouldn't know, Al, about that wonderful journey of yours. I remember being over in Belgium when you popped over as a junior, and and to watch you were very, very successful straight away, and you made all the top Belgian juniors take notice. As a matter of fact, the world famous Blanket family adopted you because they were too scared to have you outside their bubble, so they took you into their bubble, which was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, John. Had a lot of good people giving me a lot of good support over the years, and I think you got to be grateful for that, signposts and people willing to do something for you and give you a hand along the way. It makes a huge difference. And this culminating in this Tour de France. Steve-O got me the job at UAE a couple of years ago, and I had treatment for cancer last year, and the team kept me on board even though I'd been out most of the year, and brought me to the Tour de France as lead DS. I had the opportunity of a lifetime, and it's been my focus for 3 months. I haven't thought about anything else. I haven't done anything else. Just focusing on details. And I gave 2 weeks ago. We talked about top 5 at the start of the tour. In the meeting, and I did a rest day meeting. The 2 rest days. The first rest day, I gave him an example of Garmin 2012 when I was there. I said, look, I've led the Grand Tour only once before, and that was 2012 at Garmin, and we won the Giro, and we won it with a half-cocked team, and we won it because we had a plan and we just stuck to it, and the stars aligned. And I said I can feel an analogy with that year to what we're doing now, and I respect all you guys, but it is just the same. We don't have the strength in numbers, but we need to stick to the plan. And every day we went through that, and riding at the front and staying together and looking after Tadej and no time splits. And, we had a couple of mishaps along the way, but it's like you couldn't write a better scenario. You just couldn't write a better scenario. Not even 2 weeks ago, I said the ideal scenario was we get time back on Col de la Loza. He takes the yellow jersey in the time trial, so we don't have to defend, and we slip into Paris in our slippers. Didn't quite go that way until Col de la Loza, and I was a bit despondent, but yeah, he pulled it off. He pulled it off. Amazing.
And this is the final part with our chat with. Is that the key? Do you think? Because we often talk about, we're in the middle of this pandemic and people are looking for inspiration, and you're at the top of the mountain now. Is that the key to never stop believing? Be as prepared as you can. Are these the sort of the stories that people are going to extract from this tour, from what you guys have done?
Yeah, I think you got to. That's the thing. It's not always as easy as keep fighting, but it is in a sense just like that, picking yourself up off the ground and keep moving forwards. When I had cancer last night, we had a little party last night when we arrived at the hotel at midnight. Party. We had dinner and we had a glass, and everyone said a word, and I said, look, last year I was couldn't walk down to the corner where the Tour de France passed like 200 meters from my house because of the cancer treatment, but yet I'm back here at the tour with you guys. So, it's like you've got to keep believing, that things are going to be better. And what I've learned through my life is everything is just a phase, no matter how bad it is or how hard it is at that moment, it will pass. Everything is just a phase, So if you can split it up like that things are just phases, then it doesn't seem insurmountable,
That's beautiful.
It's awesome,
mate. You're also putting your Aussie hat on. How good was Richie's ride?
Yeah, really awesome. It was great to see him bring it home in a time trial, which he's always been good at, but over the years sort of gone off a little bit. But yesterday he did a huge ride, and I saw him yesterday. I was at the car, but went in the car parking when we got to the finish, and he rode down past me and stopped, and we had a hug, and he's a gem of a guy. He was great to work with, and we, probably the only rider I've ever stayed at his house. Well, I stayed at Rowan Dennis's house, but went down to Monaco and stayed with Richie a couple of times in his apartment, and so we have a good relationship. And he was, he sent me a message last night, and he said, "Can you tell you guys they need to ride fast to the finish because I have a plane to catch?" So, I sent it to my guys in our rider WhatsApp group here, and Tade came back with a thumbs up. Well, mate.
Well, that's fantastic, mate. It's been great.
Unbelievable.
Pal.
I got to go.
Yeah.
Now, I've got one good bit of news for you, mate. The Tigers are going well. You're looking really strong, pal.
I heard it, mate.
Good stuff. But no, we really appreciate those insights, mate. Phenomenal. We're super proud of everything you've achieved, and it is just such an awesome story what you guys have done. So enjoy the final day, and we really appreciate you coming on, mate.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Congratulations, pal.
That's one of the best interviews I reckon I've seen, Iffy. Hands down. Like the way he spoke and how honest he was, and just to come back. The guy had cancer. He couldn't walk down 200 meters to watch the race. And 12 months later, he's on top of the world and had a big influence on the success of that team. Just how calming he is, how prepared he was. He's an absolute legend. Absolute legend.
He is. I can remember that because the tour started in Brussels last year. He lives in Gerardsbergen, the famous town where the Mur is, and the race, as he said, went right about 100 metres from his front door. And I was going down there the day before to go for just a coffee with him, and he rang me and said, "Mate." He couldn't even do that, as he was that unwell. He couldn't even meet me for that coffee. He said, "I can't do it, mate." So it's great to see the turnaround, and I've been through it, so I know exactly how tough it can be. But he's a fighter. He's been all his life, for a youngster, completely on his own, going to Belgium with no one to back him up, and just going there as a junior, getting adopted by the Plankets, and going on to be a wonderful professional with Peugeot, and with he was with Phil Anderson at Peugeot and Phil Anderson at Panasonic. A seriously good pro. It's just a great story.
Bills, when he was talking about how no matter how tough it gets, it's just phases. Obviously, you would have been gutted crashing out of the tour, but when you hear things like that, does it give you that inspiration to go, we're going to get out of this, or it keeps you moving forward?
Yeah, look, mate, I learned a long time ago that, and I sort of try to live my life by this philosophy that your life is a book, and in every book there's chapters, and there's some chapters are awesome and some chapters are absolute shit. But like Allan says, every bad moment, and we all go through bad moments, and in sport we go through a lot of lows, often more lows than highs, but they always do pass. And look, life is simple. At the end of the day, as long as you put one foot in front of the other, you're moving in the right direction. So that's how I've always tried to look at it when I've had injuries, and how I'm looking at this one at the moment. And Allan shone a light on that. He's gone through some absolutely horrific times over the last couple of years with his cancer and being unwell and everything. He was given the opportunity to come back into the sport at UAE. He was given the opportunity this year to lead, be the lead director, and now they've won the Tour de France. So it's simple as that. One foot in front of the other, you keep moving in the right direction, and then eventually that phase will pass. And you just have to stay motivated and inspired, and believe that those moments will pass.
Well, we've come to that part of the show, boys. It's Detour DeLorean. He's the Sting.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I was like, what am I going to play for the last step of the Detour? Like, I'm just going through my old computers, trying to dig out, we just played music video. No, we've chewed all those up. So I just thought I'd play the montage at the end of the final backstage pass. I still haven't watched the final backstage pass again because I was an emotional wreck when I
remember that.
Oh, it just floored me. I remember the final day, I got up and I felt physically sick. Like I just felt off because I'm like, I am going to miss all these guys so much. Like, and that was such a big period of my life, doing the backstages. And I remember that night when I had to get up and speak to everyone, I just fell in a heap. It wasn't my finest moment. But
one of the chapters, mate. It's one of the chapters.
That's right. So here's the montage, which is a bit of a highlights package of the time that we were doing the backstage with Greenwich.
We're really after a committed performance. Johnny Farnham, the next Johnny Farnham, could be sitting here.
I choose. Yep. I'll take 50.
This
is bullshit.
You muppet!
You know who this bloke is in the car?
Can't see. Don't worry about it. Well, that went well, didn't it?
Manny King.
I should make strawberry milkshake.
Oh, good one there, Jules.
Let's come to this, boys.
Always keep riding, whatever happens.
One for South Africa. Bomba!
Not like that story.
But it's not Mother's Day.
Here comes Chavez. Oh, Colombia have a monument. Colombia have a monument. L'Australien qui va s'imposer extraordinaire.
And that's how a real rock star does it.
With an absolutely superb result.
Gordy said it's too big. He said, no, not for long. Orica Greenish, the best team in the world. Yeah.
Oh boy. Avec des gars qui étaient très forts. Et puis j'ai essayé d'attaquer.
Guys, thanks very much for everything. It's a special team, and special things happen on a special team.
Yeah, that's a good one to finish on, I reckon. Just summed it all up.
How good is cycling?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. And as I said, like the tour in September, I actually haven't minded at all. It's been great.
Oh, it's been amazing. And Buells, it's been absolutely sensational to spend the last week and a half with you joining us, mate. It's been terrible for you to have to step down from being in the race to put up with us too, but it's been fantastic, mate.
Mate, I've enjoyed every moment. It's got me through the last 10 days. It would have been a crappy 10 days if I was just lying on the couch feeling sorry for myself. So it's been nice to come on here, talk about the race, have a laugh with you guys, interact with the fans and the listeners. Bloody enjoyed it. I'll be back again at some point. This will be my I can't commit iffy for the Detour podcast forever. I've got another podcast I need to get off the ground as well.
Yeah,
I've got an arm and a rib I need to get healed. I need to get back on the bike. I've got some races I'm shooting for. I'm motivated to try and get healthy for again. So that's going to be my priority going forward for next month. But hey, I'd love to come back on the Detour pod when you're doing
the Bay Crits, mate. Set yourself for the Bay Crits.
Yeah, well, only a few weeks away the way this season's going. I haven't been to the Bay Crips for a long time. I have done them, but I haven't been there for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long while.
Final predictions.
Yeah, predictions. Okay. Well, I've only got one, and he's going to win. He's going to defend his title in Paris. Caleb Ewan.
You know what? I'm going for Mezgec. I'm just going all chips in. Come on, Luca. Like, you got amazing form, amazing legs. What an amazing story. You can do it, mate. Who do you reckon Buells is going to win?
Yeah, I'd love to see Mezza win. My heart, my 100% of my heart is in with Mezza. But I think Van Aert will win today.
Yeah. All right. Well, interesting. Thanks to everyone who submitted questions. The winner of the prize, Iffy, for the Mitchelton wine, Shiraz. You want to announce it?
Sam Beauty.
Super fan.
Wendy,
Yes.
super fan.
Wendy, the super fan.
Wendy shared the show every day on her Facebook profile. She got involved with the questions. She's been just an absolute trooper. So, Wendy, we'll get your details and we'll send you the Mitchelton Shiraz. And as we said, big thanks to all the sponsors, Lexus, Let's Go Motorhomes, Mitchelton Wines, Bike Exchange, and a big thanks to you, Iffy, for every night giving you insights, the old detour stories. It's been fantastic, mate.
Dan, and you've been a legend, mate. You really make the show. You put it all together. You've been a bit sloppy on some of your withdrawing of bets, but other than that, it's been an amazing 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, as we said, thanks again for everyone tuning in, and we'll be back sometime soon. So make sure that you keep in touch with all the developments. Facebook.com/detourpod. Subscribe. Tell your mates, and we'll see you again sometime in the near future. Cheers.